Hello, everybody. I would like to welcome you to this webinar. It's for the IX software, functionality for advanced users, it's called. So, my name is Anders Källstrand. I'm working as a field application engineer at Beijer Electronics. So, for the agenda for this webinar is first, I would like to do an introduction of IX, and then there's an introduction for the .NET framework and C# as well. So you get an overview of that. Then there is 4 topics that I will also show in a demo later on. It's first how you create your first script, how you use script modules, using timers and events, and reusing functions from an existing script module. So yes, and as I said, it's a bit of a demo so you can see hands-on how to work with it in IX. So first, for the IX HMI software, I would say it's a software where you can easily create some basic functionalities, and also, if you would like, you can also create advanced functionalities quite easily, ready-made in IX. So it's a quite comprehensive software. It combines top-class graphics with pre-styled objects, so you can create really nice-looking screens. As I said before, it's easy startup. It's designed to have an intuitive operation and an efficient workflow. And also it connects to almost all major automation brands, as you can see on the logos down here. It's a really nice feature with IX, I would say. So if we look at the development tool, IX Developer, you can create applications for the IX X2 series, where you have like a standard panel with the runtime included. You have the C2 panel series where you can have runtime included. It's a panel PC with Windows installed on it. And the third option is a software runtime, where you buy a runtime license, so you can install it on any PC with Windows. So let's talk a little bit about the .NET framework then. So this is just an overview of it. It's really so much more. So it could be a university course if you would like to. So, but anyway, this is so you just get an overview of what it is. So it was designed by Microsoft in the late 1990s, released in the beginning of 2000. You can say that it really consists of an extensive library of code that can be used by the programmers. So it's a really huge library. You can find anything there. It has a single well-defined common type system that is common to all the .NET programming languages. And the intention with that is really to allow programs written in different languages to easily share information with each other. So it's really supporting a standard. So if any other language is supporting that standard as well, you can share information with that application as well. And all the code that you develop is executed in a runtime environment, the common language runtime, and that acts as a shell between the code and the operating system hardware. So this intermediate code run on the CLR, the common language runtime, and it compiles just in time to machine code. So it compiles when the program is advancing to the proper machine code that you have for what you have installed the application on. If you look at the PC target, the IX PC target, the application for that will use a .NET full framework with all the features. So if you look at the CE target, for example, an X2 series panel, you will use a compact subset. It's called the compact framework, and it's designed to run on embedded devices. So that was an overview of the .NET framework. Then if we go to the C# language, it's called C#. The hashtag is pronounced C#. The first version was released with the first .NET framework in about 2002. The latest version, 9.0, is with the .NET framework 5.0. So I would say that C# is the main language of the .NET framework, but it's also possible to write programs in something called F#. It's a functional language, and Visual Basic, which looks quite similar, I would say, to C#. C# is one of the most popular programming language to learn. There is a big existing fan base, and so it's really easy to find information on the web. So I would also say I would like to say also that it's easy to get started if you want to do some simple scripting, your first script, but it's also very powerful, so you can make almost any kind of applications with it. If you look at the language, it's very similar to Java, how it looks when you program. The implementation with the virtual machine in Java is also with the intermediate code is also similar to C# and the common language runtime. And the language is intended to be simple, modern, general purpose, and object-oriented language. So if you want to have a little bit more learn, there's some nice web links down below here. It's quite good if you want to dig a little bit deeper into it. Very good. Just a few of them. There's a lot more. So if you look at the C# on the IX platform, so IX Developer and the IX platform is based on the Microsoft.NET framework and C#. So before you build application, you have the option to add your own C# code to the IX application, or you can even add code from others via DLL files. This is allowing you to extend and customize your HMI application in a lot of different ways. I would say that is really one of the strengths of the IX software. So what happens really when IX Developer builds an application, it generates C# code, and this code is compiled into a .NET assembly, this intermediate code that I was talking about earlier. And that code is run on the common language runtime. So this is really the software architecture. You create screens with an extended application markup language. You have code in C#, you compile it. It gets to a .NET assembly, and the EL is the intermediate language, and that intermediate language is run on the panel or the PC runtime on the common language runtime. And finally, you could say that all code is event driven. So all the C# code in an application is executed when an event happens, and that could be a button click event, a mouse up event, an analog numeric value change event. It could also be a system event like a tag value change, an alarm state change, or a timer event. Events can also be generated when hardware event occurs, like when characters is received on a serial port, for example. So that is a bit of the starting here. So now I would like to show you this demo. So how to create your first script. So let's have a look at that.
Well, should we start with the first script then? So first of all, I want to say that I've already created some tags here in the tag lists that I will use during the demo. So I don't have to create them during the demo here. I think you will know how to do that. So what I basically want to do is to have a button, and with that button, when I click it, I would like to open a message box and increase the value if I answer yes, and let it be the same if I answer no. So I will add a button here, and I will name it increase a value. So if you look down below here, you have the script tab. If you push that, you will get into this page, scripting. And as you see here, you have events for opened, closing, and closed. So you can connect any code to those events. For example, when the screen opens, you can connect some code to that event. Now I want to use the click event for the button. I push that one, and you can see here there's a click event for the button object. So let's go down here, and I will, if I push the control button and this space button on the keyboard on the same time, I will get the list, and I can write message box. It's basically a list with the functionalities that you can choose from. And I choose the message box and the dot, and you can see that there's a method called this show here, and you put the first parenthesis, and you can see that here it's actually 21 different versions of this show method. It's and what version you will use is chosen from the parameters that you add to the show method. So I will use something that I've copied already from an existing project, so I don't have to write it again. So what you will see here is that you have a message. Do you want to increase the value? Yes. You have a header that is increase value. You define what buttons you want to have on the message box, yes and no in this case. There is an icon, question mark, do you really want to increase the value? And then you also decide which is going to be the default button. So yes, and then you want to save the result from the message box. So then you can use an object called the dialog result, and you create a variable from that, dr, and you assign the answer from the message box to the dr variable. So then you can create an if case, parentheses, dr is equal to dialog result dot yes. Then you have the curly brackets. Between those, you will have your code. So if you want to reach a tag in the tag list, you have to write globals dot tags dot itag1, and finally the value property. You can just copy this one, paste it, add it with 1, and you also have to, in C#, you have to finish every line with a semicolon. So let's get back to the layout and see what, if you want to show the value of itag1, you can add an analog numeric. You connect the itag1 value and use a prefix itag1. It's quite handy because then you can see what's in the analog numeric. So let's try that. And we'll save it and we will build a project. And that seems to be okay. The script is okay. And if you want to simulate, you push the blue arrow here. Then the project will be simulated so you can test your script. I will just remove this demo banner here. And you push the button, increase the value. Do you want to increase the value? And you answer yes, and it is increased. If you push again and you choose no, it's not increased. So that's basically the first okay. And then if you want to reuse this code from several pages, you can create something called a script module. So you will just right click and add script module. You can then name it to something good that is showing that is what you really do in the script. Screen module, and in this case for the plans will be good for this case. Yes. So we can create a function here that is first called public, that it means that it can be reached from everywhere. Void, that it means that it's not returning any value. Then the name of the function, then the parenthesis, it's empty. It shows that it's not using any parameters from outside the curly brackets. And between the curly brackets you will have your code. So I would think that we'll go back to the screen page and go to the script and copy here. So we will copy this code. Then we will use it here instead. So now we have created a function, an inc function, that will increase the value in the same way as we did on the screen page. So what we can do now is to comment out this code. So it's not used, and we can call this new function instead. So what we will do here is to call the globals dot script module and the function inc, and the parentheses, and you end with a semicolon. So let's try that instead. So when you push the button here, you will call this function instead of this code. Save it. You check the code. You simulate the code. So we will just remove this banner. We increase the value, and you can see the code is running again, but now from the script module. So that is how you're using a script module. So what if you want to reuse your code with different tags? Then you can use something that is called iScript tag. So let's go to the script module again, and then we can create a new function. We can just copy this one with the same name. Then we can add something that is called iScript tag, and you call it my tag. So basically it means that you connect to this function a code when you're doing your button. So I will replace this with my tag, and this with my tag, and then it's basically the same code, just that I replaced this part. So then we will go back to the screen. We can copy this button, we can call it with iScript tag. So we double click it and we go to actions up here, and here we can choose to run a script from here. We choose a script module and we choose a function here, the function that we recently created. And when we create that function, we can here choose what tag you want to connect to this button. So you can create several buttons with the same code and just connect different tags to it. We copy this analog numeric and we connect it to the iTag 2 that we connected to the button. Then we choose here iTag 2, so we show iTag 2. Then we save, we check the project, and it seems to be okay. Then we can simulate it to see if it's working. And again, just remove this demo banner so it's not in the way, and push the button. Yes, now it's running. We see that it's working. So yes, what we have done now is that we have created a tag at the button and you reused a generic code. I would like to show you as well how to use a timer in IX, and to do that I would like to add two buttons, one button to start a timer and one button to stop the timer, and one analog numeric to show the value that is increased by 1 every second. So I will just copy that one. I call that start timer event. Start timer event. I'll copy that again. And stop timer event. Then I will show a tag here in an analog numeric, the I tag 3 with a change prefix. I will also add a text object, so I can show you later on a little bit how to work with strings. So I have a string variable here already defined that I will connect to that text object. So what we will do here is to start the timer or create a timer with the click event down here. So here is some code that I've been copying from another object, another project. So I also have to define the timer here. So it's private because it's used only in this on this screen, and it's a timer type, and the name is mtimer. So here we create the timer object, you can say, and here you enable it, and this is the event that ticks every 1000 milliseconds. So the thing is really to write it like this to connect the tick event to the this text really. So if we want to stop the timer, do it with that button. We can just copy those 2 rows here. We change that to false, and we change that from plus to minus, and that means that the timer object is released, so it won't use any memory anymore. That's very important, to release the memory when you're using timers, so you just don't create a lot of timers but don't release the resources. So this is how you do it. So now we want to create what's going to happen in this event, so we can copy this as a frame for it, and here we will use it. We will take this text that is the event and put it here. So, and here we wanted to add 1 every second to I tag 3. So let's find I tag 3 globals dot tags dot I tag 3 dot value, and then you can write plus plus and the semicolon in the end. So this plus plus is the same as adding 1 to I tag 3. So let's see here then. Just save and check it if it's okay. It's okay. Let's go to the layout and simulate the project again. We'll just remove this a little bit and start a timer event. Then you can see for every second I tag 3 is increased by 1. If I stop the event, the doesn't increase anymore. So if I start it, okay, it starts to increase again. So that seems to be working. And now if we wanted to create to show how the value is increasing here as well, we have already connected this text object to this variable. So on the script page we can add another row in globals again, dot tags dot sMessage dot value is equal to a fixed string that is defined like this. So I tag 3 value. And if you want to add a dynamic string here or the value of I tag 3, just write plus, and then you take globals dot tags dot I tag 3 2. Sorry, dot value to string. So what you have done here is really to added a dynamic tag value to a fixed string. So hopefully it will be I tag 3 value is, and it will be showing the I tag 3 counting upwards. So let's see. Save it and we'll check it. And it seems to be okay. Let's simulate it then. So just remove that one, start a timer event, and you will see the fixed string is added with a dynamic tag value. So yeah, that was a little bit about how to use timer events.
Okay, so I would also like to show you how to reuse a script module. Could be quite handy if you have something that you have made, for example, in another project. So you just right click, choose import, and here is a script module that I've been working with before. So it's imported here, you can see, and it holds functionalities for reading and writing to a text file. So the first function here is the write text. It takes a string parameter, it's the path to the text file, and the tag value that you want to write to the text file, and it returns nothing, void. And the second function is called read text. It reads from a text file and returns a string. So I won't go any deeper into this code here, but what you can see is that there is a stream writer and a stream reader object. It's very easy to use if you read and write to file IO, so I can recommend that. What you also can see is there is a try and catch block here. You should always use that when writing your code, because if something unexpected happens between in the try area here, the catch area will take care of it and your application won't crash. So that's important. So now I think the first part that we can do is to reuse the write text function. So when I start a timer event, every second there will be written a new value to the text file. So this is the on timer tick that we created before. So just choose globals and the script module and the function write text. And here I've been copying from another project. So this is the path to the text file, and this is the tag that you want to write to the text file. So what you can do here is to save it, check it, and then simulate. So now for every second, when I start a timer event, a value should be written to the text file. So I start a timer event, and I stop it now here at 5. So if we open the text file here, you can see that is 5 values written to the text file. So it worked as it should. So now I think that we should reuse the read text function as well. So I will add a text box here, and I will just make the font size bigger and use it as a multi-line. And then I will add a button. So when I push the button, I will read from the text file and put it into the text box. So read from text file. So here is the button. Let's see here. On the click event, we would like to use the read text function. So again, globals, the script module, and the read text function in the script module. And here I know that it only takes one parameter, and that's the path to the text file. And we want to store it in the text box. So it should be globals there. So okay. So save and check. Now we will simulate it. So when I push the read from text file, it should be read from the text file to the text box. And that is what happens. So that is just an example how to reuse functions or code in a script module.
Okay, that was the last part then. So for a summary, the .NET framework, a gigantic library of code, and the code is run on the common language runtime, regardless of the programming language. For PC targets in IX, you use a full framework. For CE targets, a compact framework. And IX developer and IX platform is based on the Microsoft .NET framework. And scripting is based on C# .NET framework's main language. And finally, it makes you it's possible to add your own code to customize the IX application in a lot of different ways, which is really a good feature with IX, I would say. So here some contact information if you want to contact us. You have a link here for the IX HMI software. It's a lot of good information there as well. Some YouTube clips I think you can find there. And there also the Smart Store, where you can find software. For example, a demo for the IX software. You can download and run it for 30 days for free. Well, thank you for listening, and hopefully I got to show you a little bit about how to use IX and the scripting possibility in IX. So thank you very much.